the live stream, and welcome everyone here in the room on day 1228. Thanks again, Carolyn, for keeping me on track. Welcome everyone to the Daily Antidote of Song, brought to us by the fabulous Carpe Diem Arts in the DC area, but we have people from all over, and I'm very excited today to have the fabulous musician Will Robertson, who's right here in Atlanta with me. And I will say more about him shortly, or he'll say more about him. But first, let me say hello to every single person in this room. Hello, Jade, and thanks for keeping us looking and sounding oh so good. Hello, Henry and Lynn. Hello, Deli and Susan G in Cincinnati. Hello, Sheila in Florida, Arlene in Berkeley, CA, Cricket Dancing in Maryland, and Laris in the UK. Hello, Ruth, Olive, Shizuka, and Phil in Totnes, UK. Hello, Luda and Victoria. Bonnie, hello. I'm not sure where you are now, possibly in Boise, but maybe somewhere else. Hello, Bob and Carolyn in Boise and in Silver Spring. And I believe we might be singing together somewhere else soon. Let's talk. Maureen in Edmonton, Canada, and Jamie in Victoria, Deborah in Kentucky, Susan in Seattle, Annette in California. Hello, Kathy in Denver, and Juana La Tejana, Kevin in DC with your beautiful flute. Hello, Steve in Atlanta, woo, 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 good to have you with us. Oh, also Cara in Atlanta, Delhi in Silver Spring. I think we might have a quorum of Atlanta folks today because of our guest. Hello, Chuck in Detroit, Delhi in Silver Spring, Karen in Oregon, and Kate in Charlottesville. Hello, Storm. I'm glad you've got a hat on again today. I was a little worried the other day when you didn't have a hat on. Hello, Kim. Hello, Kathy in Virginia, Susan in Seattle, Aloysius in Massachusetts. Hello, Amy. So good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So good to have you with us. Hello, Hindi and Jojo. It says she's in Tacoma Park, but actually she's in New Hampshire. She's always on the go. Hello, Debbie and Caroline in DC, Joan and Sandy in Western North Carolina, Linda in Orcas Island, Bob biking in Massachusetts, LMG, Carol J. Connecticut, LMG and Mabel. And I think that's everybody. If I didn't get you on the way in, I'm going to get you on the way out. So good to have you all with us here today. Hello, everyone. It's so good to be here with you and to have a guest from my own hometown of Atlanta. This is the fabulous Will Robertson. We'll talk about some more of his work because there's a lot to talk about. But let's get right down to the music. Welcome so much, Will. So happy to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Elise. Hello, everybody. What a wonderful, warm welcome. I'm going to start doing this on all my Zoom calls, Elise. Just
Yes,
greeting everyone with song. That's a beauty.
absolutely.
So the song I'd like to share with you today and that I'd like for us to sing together is one I wrote called Beauty. And I'd like to just sing it for you first so that you can hear the vibes, and then we'll sing it together. Everywhere, everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair. Come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Everywhere, everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty. Everywhere that I go, lift me up from despair. Come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Seems like the cost of life is so much higher than what we had saved. A sea of frost and ice is trying to bury us under its weight. Just look around. Why is it that you're so afraid? Everywhere, everywhere hold me harder than I've ever known. A few dozen years to hang around and take things past where they were when we came. Some fly away, some run aground, some spin in circles, but if it's all the same, I'd rather walk. Will you help me find flowers on the way? Everywhere, everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty everywhere that I go. Lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty everywhere that I go. Lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Everywhere there is beauty, I see beauty everywhere that I go. Lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Oh, it's so beautiful to see you
There's
all.
beauty. Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you, Will. Oh my goodness.
This was wonderful. I've never seen bears singing along, but that was just lovely, Mabel. And the flute player who I missed, I'm sorry about F minor. I wish I could have put it in a better key for you, but but I know it was
He's
beautiful.
pretty adaptable. I have actually
Great.
met him live. He was in DC when I was there in last month and or a couple months ago, and he's very flexible and can play a lot of things. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. So before we start, I can't wait to get into conversation, but I wanted to show y'all, you've heard the chorus now a few times. I wanted to show y'all a counter melody you can sing if you'd like. So I know we'll sing this again at the end, and I just wanted to sing it for you. And I see my AirPod fell out. I just got these, and they worked fine in the airport, but I wasn't singing. So I think for my job made the other one fall out. So, but I can
After
still hear
you,
you.
after you teach it, we can sing it again and then have conversation, so we can all
Okay.
try
Okay,
it.
great.
Yeah, that is good.
So this is the counter melody if you want to join in on it. It sounds like this. Na 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 na. Try that with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Na 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 So now I'll sing the chorus, y'all sing that counter melody. Here's how it comes in, just listen. So I'll sing everywhere, na na na. It's actually the same 3 notes as everywhere. Everywhere, na na na. Okay, so let's try that together one more time. I'll sing the chorus and maybe bring you in on your na na na, and then I'll go back to the chorus. 1, 2, 3. Everywhere, na na na. Beauty, I see beauty everywhere that I go. Lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think you have some of your chorus members here, so
I
I'm
think
sure
I do. I
tag
definitely do. I
along.
see a couple of them.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about your chorus and the work that you do at the Congregation Bet Havarim, and then we can branch out from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the chorus director at Congregation Beit Haverim. I've been there for almost 15 years.
Wow.
And I direct a fantastic chorus of up to, I think I just saw we actually got to 50 members
Wow.
this week. So Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. If any of you have been in congregational choruses, you'll know that not all 50 are usually there at the same time, but it is a massive, beautiful sound. And Congregation Beit Havarim is a synagogue that is Reconstructionist. It's outside sort of the three main movements of Judaism. It's its own thing, and we say the past gets a vote and not a veto. And it's really important to us to bring in all sorts of voices that are usually not heard, especially not heard in Jewish contexts. So we do traditional melodies, but we've also brought in songs by Paul Simon, by James Taylor. We're doing a number of songs and prayers this year at our High Holidays next month that were written by non-binary folks, queer folks, women, people of color, all sorts of unusual and voices that need to be lifted up.
Well, the
And
congregation was started by the LGBTQ community, right?
absolutely, that's
And
correct.
also, this community here is very familiar with your present and your past music director. Rebecca Goldsmith has just stepped in as the new music director there, and we've sung with her and loved it. And Gayanne Guerin, who we've also sung with many times, was the music director prior and worked with you for what, like 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, yeah. I mean, she was at CBH at Beit Haverim here in Atlanta, yeah, for 20 years, and we worked together for the whole time I was there until last year.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, it's an amazing space, and I know it takes up a good amount of your time, but you also do a lot of other things. You're an incredible music producer. You want to talk a little bit about that aspect of your work and your music?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm coming to you live from my home studio, and I've got this space that I work in, and I've got a couple of isolation booths that I can put my singers and my guitarists in. But yes, so I am a music producer and engineer. That's my main gig, as it were. And I mostly work with singer-songwriters. If you know Atlanta, sort of the Eddie's Attic kind of vibe, which is where Indigo Girls, John Mayer came out of that almost that very room. And so I've been fortunate enough to work with great singer-songwriters like David Berkeley, like Elliot Bronson, Rebecca Loby, and recently, actually, a couple years ago, I was blessed to get the opportunity to mix a record by the phenomenal Texas blues artist Ruthie Foster,
Wow.
who many of you may know, and that album was nominated for a Grammy in 2020, which was a pretty cool thing to have happen.
I think she's
Um,
playing in Atlanta tomorrow.
it's September
Oh, okay.
17th. Yeah. Yeah, I've got it on my calendar. I'm going. So actually, a couple people on this call are going. I know. Um,
Excellent. Excellent.
but yeah, I've been doing that for 20 years. I started in Boston. I was at Berklee College of Music for a few years. Before that, I went to Rice University and studied double bass performance. And then in Boston, I studied music production and engineering, and I set up my studio there and moved it here to Atlanta in 2003.
Well, you're an amazing bass player as well as all the other things that you do. I also know, being in kind of the back stage of some of your things, that when you produce an album, you also are quite often part of the music, developing the music with the artists. And I think people really, really love working with you and appreciate that so much. I have heard firsthand reports about how much people love working with you.
I appreciate that, Elise. I feel like my role as a producer is to help the artists bring their voice forward, and whatever I can do to help with that, whether that's in what we call pre-production of sort of listening to the songs and making sure that the songs bring forward what the artist is trying to say. Because sometimes you don't know, right? You're writing a song, you
Right.
think it says what you want it to say, but someone else hears it and they don't quite get the message. That's what I feel like part of my big job is as the producer, is making sure that the artists that I work with, that I record, that they make the album they want to make. They connect with their audience in the way that they want to make it. So whether that's through pre-production or through adding arrangements or instrumentation, that's the goal.
Well, you play a lot of other instruments as well, which you can add. So that's kind of a wonderful thing. I think for a musician to come in and kind of have a big palette to choose from of how they want to mm, decorate isn't a very good word, but
It's
to,
about right. Yeah.
as you're painting,
Support
painting,
and
yeah,
yeah, and
painting.
paint. Yeah, the colors. Yeah, go with the palette metaphor. That's great. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Every project's a little different. Every artist has a different palette, and it's always an adventure. And it's just one that I just love. So
I wanted to get you to tell folks a little bit about the adventure with Paul Simon when he was here in Atlanta for a residency.
yeah, that was an amazing thing. So Paul Simon came to Emory University several years ago to give a lecture series, um, which was interesting. It wasn't a concert series; it was a lecture series. Of course, he did sing at least at the end, and through a member of our chorus and good family friends of ours and of CBH's, our chorus was invited to sing at the very first lecture that he gave in the big hall at Emory, and it that was I think that was back in 2013, and so we picked out an eclectic set of repertoire. We did I think a couple of pieces that we typically do, but we also brought in a couple of new arrangements of Paul Simon songs. We had long done a version of American Tune
Yeah.
from There Goes Rhyme and Simon, which our chorus just loves, and which I arranged to meld with the Bach hymn that it came from, which many Christians know as "O Sacred Head Now Wounded." But actually predates Bach. He borrowed it from a love song from the 16th century. So it's a tune that's been winding its way through history forever. So we played that. We played Under African Skies. We played a little bit of the Boxer, and we sang all this as sort of the opening act for Paul Simon's first appearance. And in fact, when Paul Simon came onto the stage and spoke, the first words that he said were, "I enjoyed the choir," which I said we should just put that on top of all of our promotional materials. I enjoyed the choir, Paul Simon, or I enjoyed the choir, Paul Simon.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I was there and it was so moving and so beautiful. He's done that audio book conversation with what's the guy's name? Who's a writer. And I think it was when I had COVID, I listened to that, and it's many, many hours long. Him basically, they were going to have an interview and talk a little bit. I think they met in Hawaii, and they had such a good time talking that they decided to go more. And they met, I don't know how many times. And have you listened to that book, that audio book?
No, I haven't. I
Oh,
need to
it's
write it down.
so amazing because he
So
talks
cool.
about his songwriting process from the early days, and he's like constantly he picks up a guitar and he starts singing one of the songs, and then talks about the producer, how it was, and working with Art Garfunkel, but then the current, and then it was right before while he was working on the album that he's just released,
Seven
the
songs.
Seven Psalms, yeah. So he was talking about that. But I highly recommend that. If anybody knows,
There it
remembers
is.
that is Matthew
Malcolm Gladwell.
Malcolm
Miracle and Wonder.
Gladwell.
Thank you,
Thank
Susan.
you.
She
Yes,
just put it up there.
thank you. Malcolm Gladwell, yeah. And Miracle and Wonder, yes. Conversations with Paul Simon. And it's so much fun. I actually listened to it twice through. Was so
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Writing
yeah.
it down right now. That's
Okay,
awesome.
anything else you want folks to know about before we do this beauty song again?
Yeah, the only other thing I was thinking about, here in my studio talking about the chorus is, and maybe this is for, I'll talk about this more next time, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about the adventure of recording a choir during a pandemic.
Yes, yes. I'm sure a lot of people can relate because there's choir people here.
Right. Yeah. So we were in the middle, CBH, my synagogue, we've recorded 7 or 8 albums together, and we were in the middle of recording our last one when the pandemic started. And we had recorded maybe half of the choir pieces, and we had to drastically retool. Our last session actually was March 2nd,
Oh my
2020.
God.
and we still had a few left. And so, we had to drastically retool. And what ended up happening for the rest of that record, we could have just dropped it and said we can't do it, but we all decided to move forward with it. And so we used online software called BandLab, and I set up with everybody, we set up sessions for them to use, like recording, little frames for them to record in, and everybody recorded on their phones. And then they would all send the recordings to me, and I would assemble them in my, recording software. And I remember the first time, we were just trying that out just as a demo to see if it would work. And I remember hitting play, and I got my eyes filled with tears because I hadn't heard us sing together in 2 or 3 months, and I didn't know if we'd ever do it again. And we did that test recording in June, and then we recorded the rest of the album. I actually wrote a new arrangement for us to sing of a song called "On the Day We Are Together Again."
Yeah.
That came out just beautifully, and that's out there on YouTube. But we managed to record the rest of the record that way. And in fact, it was so successful that I asked a few chorus members to go ahead and record their parts for the songs that we had recorded before the pandemic with BandLab, so that I could add that in, and so we could get a consistent sound. So
wow.
All sorts of adventures of recording choirs through the pandemic. So.
Yes, and it's nice to see some of your choir members here. I see Henry. Who else do I see? Hi, Henry. Yeah. Kathy in Denver? Anyway, let's sing Beauty again.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has been such a pleasure, and I can't wait for the next one. Let's keep this one from falling out, though. Everybody remember your na na na, right? Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty everywhere that I go. Lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty everywhere that I go. Lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Seems like the cost of life so much higher than what we had saved. A sea of frost and ice is trying to bury us under its weight. Just look around. Why is it that you're so afraid? Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty everywhere that I go. Lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. A few dozen years to hang around and take things past where they were when we came. Some fly away, some run aground, some spin in circles, but if it's all the same, I'd rather walk when you help me find flowers on the way. Come on. Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty everywhere that I go. Lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me harder than I've ever known. Everywhere there is beauty, and I see beauty everywhere that I go. Lift me up from despair, come and soothe me, reach right through me, hold me hard. right through me. Hold me harder than I've ever known. Thank you so much, Elise and Joe and Jaden and everybody. So lovely to see your faces, and I can hear your voices.
Oh, thank you, Will Robertson, coming into us from Atlanta. So, so good to sing with you. Thank you so much. And I know we'll want to have you back because you have so many great songs to share. Thanks, everyone, for coming on to the Daily Antidote of Song today. And every day, every single day, there's a song leader, there's a song to learn and to pass along to your own communities. Thank you so much for being here. Linda from Orcas Island, rocking in your chair. Henry and Lynn from Congregation Bet Haverim. Thank you, Susan G. in Seattle and Sheila in Florida. Thank you, Arlene, bringing us flowers as requested. Thank you, Cricket, for dancing in Maryland always. We got a whole crowd in Totnes, UK. We got Ruth, Olive, Shizuka, and Phil. So happy to see all of you. You look like you're having a real fun time. Hello, Luda. So good to have you coming from Victoria, BC. Thank you, Bonnie from Boise, and Bob and Carolyn with flowers. Woo! And Anne in Silver Spring, Maureen in Edmonton, Deborah in Kentucky, Annette in California, Kathy in Denver, skipping all around these rectangles, go all over the place, Kevin in DC, Deli in Silver Spring, Chuck in Detroit, Storm, hello, oh, I see someone with Storm. Put your name in. Oh, Storm and Ann, yay, so good to see you. Hi, Kathy in Virginia. Good to see Bobble, and Mabel and the Bearsels dancing with us. Thank you, Kate in Charlottesville, Jamie in Victoria, Kat in Vermont, Julie in Ontario, and Kathleen in Albuquerque. Thank you, Liana. I think there probably are some more curly tops somewhere. And Jaden, thank you for getting us technically oh so good. Thank you, Gary and Juana La Tejana. Kevin, you're here. I'm so glad to see you. Thank you, Sandra and Martha and Kathy and Steve in Atlanta. Hindi and Joe traveling between New Hampshire and DC. Thank you, Debbie and Caroline and Carol and LMG and Nancy and Moon and Hoda and Aloysius. Thank you, everyone, for being here today on the Daily Antidote of Song. See y'all again soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. Bye.